Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie, nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Hello and welcome everyone to the 395th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, August 26, 2021. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Cramond. I'll be host today with Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who will be presenting today's workshop. As usual, for the last 394 Knowledge Seekers workshops. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin today's show?
Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Keshe Foundation programs, teaching the man the knowledge of the universe, and with it, creating new conditions for man to understand his potential, his capabilities, and his knowledge. In the education of the universe, understanding the work of the knowledge of the universe, we do not have any universities, unfortunately, for those who are at the PhDs and professorships. We do not have diplomas, we do not have first class, and we have no nurseries. The maturity of the man comes from his understanding of the totality. Sometimes step by step, as he needs to decipher the knowledge, and sometimes in one go, as he lets the knowledge to be transferred through him, through the soul of the man. In a way, in the world of education, again, we use two different methods. We go to the nurseries, we go to the first class, we learn alphabet, and then we might be lucky enough to get to a diploma, and more lucky enough to become a degree, and then maybe become a doctor and a professor, and become more narrow-minded as we go a step further, and more arrogant. But when you learn to tap in the world of the knowledge of the universe through the soul of the man, you are like, as Rick has many times in his presentation, a table full of magnets. And you are that extra magnet that you are put on the table. You see all the other magnets move to accommodate you and accommodate each other. They share the same fields and they make it knowledgeable. I'm here. This is my position. This is your position. We welcome you. This is where we have a problem with the education between the dimension of physicality and in the dimension of the soul of man. Man can spend years to become doctors and professors in one line of knowledge, or you can become knowledgeable through the soul of the man and receive all the knowledge from all the ones on the board and be educated instantaneously. This is what most of the knowledge seekers have not understood up to. You still want to spend time to understand the Gans of this or that. You want to understand this Gans does with that. Or you go to the soul and the whole knowledge is carried by all, and you're knowledgeable not only to the life existence of the man on this planet, but how to live across the universe. In past years, I have tried very hard to complete the cycle of understanding the creation of the man, the essence of the physicality of the man that is done in the matter state. And then with it, we try to explain the existence of the man in the dimension of the soul. In any case, both comes to one thing: be educated on a man's level or be educated in the universal level. Then you understand when we say we take man to universe, that he is not subordinate and has access to all. Is literally is that we put all knowledges across the universe and unicos available to all. It's you who have to open the door and tap into it. Because the professor at the top who teaches from the nursery to you becoming a professor has already put the knowledge across the universe in the name of the Creator. It's you who have to understand, and it's you who has to become knowledgeable to the knowledge of the creation. Then you choose, what do I want to do? Where do I want to be? How do I want to behave? I go to planet Zeus and take a dimension of physicality, and again I go through their nursery, I go through their education system, I become knowledgeable about the life of living on that planet, and then what? What about the next cycle where your soul takes place? You become what I call student all your life in the dimension of physicality. Or you can go to planet Zeus and working through the soul, you have all the knowledge what that planet carries. Because the souls and those who create the dimension of the existence have already shared with you through the dimension of the soul. In a way, as I said many times, you can be a common man, but at the same time, be an ambassador. When you are an ambassador, all the doors are open. Your Excellency, you have no limitation. But when you become a common man as an ambassador, you have to open the door for yourself to get in. You have to cook for yourself and look after yourself. Where when you are an ambassador, it's all done for you. A very clear picture of this is amazingly, it's been published in the past few days on the Israeli newspapers, where we saw the man who the world wasn't big enough and he wanted to kill everyone and he was the best and he was the everything else as a dictator, Mr. Netanyahu. In trying to get on a plane, he had to queue. He had to open his own luggage. He had to get clearance to get on the plane. And amazing enough, there was no one to carry nothing for him. The truth is, the man is too proud of his own meager existence. And this is where we trap our lives in. This is where we see the limitation which is created by us for ourselves. We have the key to have access to wherever we go without limitation. Understand the knowledge of the point and the position and the time and the position of arrival. We are the masters in knowledge because we use the soul of the existence in that point. The knowledge is transferred. There is no need to go through the steps. Or we go as a man and start making space suits and spacewalks and all sorts of the rigmaroles to protect, in a way, a prison officer which is imprisoning the soul which is knowledgeable inside in that prison. An ignorant, uneducated prison officer trapping a professor, the knowledge and the knower of all in a prison because he thinks he's strong. This is what has happened to the man. This is what man has done to himself. We have put an ignorance of the knowledge of universe in control, in charge, and the prison officers of the professor of the universe, which is the soul of it. This is two ways to handle it. To try to teach the prison officer, you hear just out of your own ego, and the man inside knows everything. This is how we see the man. This is how we have educated the process of the knowledge seekers. As we are entering into the next phase and the next steps of transformation and transfer of the knowledge to man, to show him the way, the path from the dimension of physicality to the dimension of the soul, the freedom of the universe, we will come across many steps. We see many, many, many problems that due to the lack of knowledge and ignorance of the prison keeper, the professor as a prisoner has to suffer. In so many ways, we extend the knowledge of physicality that one day it might enlighten you to understand the truth about yourself, which is within you. In a way, we are not doing it for you to see the others. We are teaching for you to see within yourself. We taught about the ganses. We taught about the cup of life. We taught about the cup of universe, and we taught about the cup of man. But the knowledge of the man needs to be added to step by step for him to understand more. In the teaching of up to now, we gave you step by step as you could understand and grasp one part or the other. In so many ways, you came with us in the journey of understanding from nursery to full education. We taught you about 2 plates. We taught you about nano-coating and non-nano-coating one of the plates. This was your chemistry and your batteries. This is the space technology and understanding of the play of the magnetic fields. In that process, we taught you more. We brought you further in education, that we showed you not only you can do this, but you have the capability to increase the fields by numbers. There is a big difference between number 1 and number 2, even though it's the same copper and the same nano coating. This is the singularity of the fields. This is multitude of the fields. In the further steps, we taught you more to understand more. And then we taught you about 1 or 2 plates and 1 or 2 things and 1 or 2 bits, but still in the presence of the magnetic field. In part of the teaching, you became wiser and you learned a little bit more that you can create a condition of the creation of the fields without matter states. And you graduated to understand the position of creation of the fields in all dimensions. But still, you are entrapped in the condition of the one-dimensional field position. You change the salts or you add salts to create another dimension. Today's teaching is a step further. A step further for you to understand a combination of works which needs to be done, which needs to be another step for man to understand the 3-dimensional connection between the life of the man, the existence of the universe, and creation of the soul. Now, we give you a frame of work. This frame is 2-dimensional. But if I make this frame in a 3-dimensional for you, you might understand a little bit more for the first time what we are sharing with you, that you understand the game, understanding of the creation of the cell of the body of the man, why you have different layers of the skin, why we always create 3 layers to maintain and to hold anything. On the skin of the man, you have 3 layers. The outer layer for the interaction with the outside fields, the inner layer for interaction with the inside, and 1 neutral zone which can allow one or the other to transfer energies within itself as is needed. We see this structure in the structure of the womb of the mother. We see this in the structure of your intestine. We see this in the structure of the body of the man in every dimension. But what you have not understood is how to create these 3 dimensions. How to attain the creation of this 3-dimensional structure that you can make a living cell. You can make a living cell with the existence of the soul, the agreement of the totality, the understanding of the knowledge of the creation. Up to now, all you did is stuck a plate in and a little bit of something else, and you were happy. Today, for the first time, we teach you the next step in moving from a 2-dimensional structures and fields to 3-dimensional structure and fields, which allows you for the first time to create the cell of the man. How you transfer energy in a dimension of physicality does not matter at point and what in the universe. In so many ways, we teach you the secret of creation. Another step for you to understand how physicality has interrupted the life of the man, and how you have failed to create a connection between the two. Today's teaching is one of the most fundamental parts of the teachings of past 8 years, 20 years, if you understand it. And if you haven't understood, you will become another monkey, copying to see and not understand. What does this mean? Up to now, we take this as your cup. Look at it in 3 dimensions. You had the zinc plates, and you had your copper plates, nano-coated or not. And in the case of the planet Earth, you added the iron, nano-coated. But you are dealing with the vertical position and not with the horizontal layer of creation of the skin, one cell to another. You made the gases, but you have not learned how to join these together. Today I teach you. And this will change the mankind from today on as we prepare you for the 6th of June next year to understand how to transmute, how to transfer energies into matter state. You always worked differently because you had to see how the gases are made. If you understand the correct way of how working with this, you will see how the gases become cells, become living things, and how they will interact, and how, if you understand the principle behind the work of this, you can create the cell of a heart in a cup. You can create the soul of your child in the cup. You can create the heart of the man in the cup. But this cup of knowledge is the knowledge of universe. Transformation and transmutation between the elements and the fields. Inertia, gravity, gas conditioning, creation of the fields, converting the fields to energy fields of existence, what we call the body of the man. God be with man, and I hope mankind will not abuse this knowledge, as it's not our wish. You learned to take a copper plate and hang it. Now take the same copper plate and put it horizontal. Connect it to its nano of itself. Connect it to a zinc plate of itself. Connect it to the zinc nano coil of itself. Connect it with a key ingredient, which is galvanized entity. You have created what you wanted in every dimension. The CO2. Interaction of the soul and physicality. Energy source between the lot. Then do this in a different way in the dimension of the existence. Nanocode your zinc galvanized plate in the dimension of itself. Then add an iron to it in a coil, and then add a nanocoat of iron. Do the same. And then you will see you can do the same in different combinations in every dimension of this structure. Here, here. Get yourself and connect the nano-coated zinc and connect in that dimension another copper, but this time half nano-coated and half plain. And then add the other parts which you think might be helped to support life and energy by plain creating blood and by nano-coating creating the soul of the blood dimension of its cavity. Now you can see the picture is different. The picture has changed, and with this picture you'll be able to create the dimension of life. As you see, you will add things in different ways and different manners in every shape you want, and you will see the changes. But in this process, you shall see the most amazing thing, the soul and the cell of the life. We show you this because you need to understand this, because it shows that in that dimension, how we create the self, how we create a new dimension, how we create even the connection, the creation of the soul in the dimension of the universe, as you connect this to this, and this to this. And then you understand the multitude and the field forces which create and gives you the opportunity to dictate the strength of the soul or the creation. In the future, mankind will understand this. And in the future, mankind will create a condition to exist within that dimension. To this understanding, you need to add many other knowledges. Up to now, you knew only how to make a gas of CO2 with 2 plates. Now you learn the complexity of understanding the knowledge of creation. In so many other ways of understanding the star formation of your star in every direction shall be here. The bases are the base of a star formation, and the one in the middle is the soul. It'll have accumulation of the all feelings and emotions of every single connection. And then you understand how simple the knowledge of creation is. How simple, if you get the right combination and salinity, as you call it, can be created within the structure. You need no salt. You need no other condition. You create condition of the field forces of the salt which created you within the interaction of the fields. This is the process of the creation. On one side, you create the structure of the fields of the environment. And one side, you create the condition of the environment of within. And in between, it shall create its own environment of interaction between the two. We feed from the one strength, and we charge from the other And in between, the body of the man, the body of the creation, decides the structure of the what we call physicality. And how the energies are transferred from one to another, or out and ingoing and the other. This happens in your intestine, that a specific field strength created by your neural system and your blood system dictates what fields of banana will carry through this section, and what fields of strength in this section will carry the vitamins from the tomato you ate with the banana. Is the mastery of the art of the brain of the man in putting and positioning all this next to each other. So in coming time, all these cups which you made in a condition of creation, putting next to each other, will create different cells. And then you decide which way the fields need to go. How you stack it, and how you enjoy the transformation and transportation of the fields in all directions. You wanted to know how to make yourself. You wanted to confirm and change that amino acid which was collected on top of your boxes. Now you'll find the amino acid which was created in the first cup setting here will mix in field forces with the amino acid of this one, and with the amino acid of this, and creates a new physical dimension for the soul. This is a natural process of growing a cell, the way the universe does, by creating conditional fields. And when the man becomes more knowledgeable, he will not need the copper or the zinc. He will create the fields of copper and the zinc, and will create this field. The way our body does. The way we grow the first cells in the womb of the mother. The way the life will interact with our souls when we enter the universal community and we land on the place. The atmosphere outside our soul interacts with the fields of our soul, and the interaction and the balancing of the two lead to creation of manifestation of the physicality. If the body of the man decides to manifest itself in interaction and communication with his soul, which is carrying it, then with the interaction of the fields of the environment, of the place where the field creates the dimension of physicality, you will get the elusive shape of the being in that place, be it Earth, which is a man shape, or planet Zeus, which could have 8 legs. In so many ways, the same thing repeats itself. In the dimension of physicality of man today, we interact with the fields of the planet Earth and the universe, we take our shape. In the dimension of the soul of the man interacts with the soul of the universe, which has no matter state, and leads to interaction of what we call dimensional soul of the physicality. And with the interaction with the environment of itself, it creates the physicality. with all its attributes, as it has the replication of itself within the physical structure of the soul of the man. Now you understand. If you want to translate this to understand it better, go to book number 1 and change just the names. Magnetical, gravitational, mass, and weight. Magnetical comes from here. Gravitational comes from here. The interaction gives you the mass, which is constant, and interaction with the environment, you get the weight, which is the physicality. The knowledge within book number 1 is the totality of the knowledge man needs to live in the universe. If you understand the essence. You carry a Bible, you carry a Torah, you carry a Quran to understand the ethos of the soul. Understand the book number 1 and 2 and 3, you carry the knowledge of the universe. It's for you to interpret. As I said in the tape you heard before, this time we bring the prophet of the knowledge and the science with the prophet of the soul at the same time. And in so many ways, you have seen it here in this image. We teach you the physicality, and with it, we teach you the knowledge of the soul. It's the wisdom of the man which will bring down the curtain of ignorance. In so many ways, now you can see what is the next step in the level of creation. What is to come, and how we have started connecting the first 4 or 5 years of the teaching with the second 3 or 4 years of teaching with the soul. Now we can see the creation of the dimension of both. Today, you look at this as an iron copper, and you look at this as a zinc nanocoated. What about if I put to you this? The GaNs of the zinc, the GaNs of the copper, the GaNs of the iron, and the same different combination and position in the triangle. And then you tell me, do you need any more matter states to create that elusive soul of the entity in its structure? This is why I pushed you for past years to work with the fields. As in the universe, we have no matter for you to work with. Understand the strength of the fields, understand the way ganses interact with their fields and not with nanoplates and nanocoating. It's time to grow. It's time to be ready that when it comes to time, we become the passenger of universe, we get somewhere, we forgot to bring the knowledge of the arm. We have to live on this planet with no arms. How do I feed myself? How do I receive it? How do I add to the knowledge to create a new arm with the knowledge of the energies and the fields I carry within the soul of man? I don't need arms. I need something different in this environment. It's different things for me to catch. How do I create half arm, half emotion, half ganses to be able to attract the food I need, the energy which I need to take from the environment? Now you understand. Many of you, I'm sure in the next coming days, will make many of these. But the essence is understand what the field interaction will come. Many of you might even attempt this but understand what it does. A millimeter higher, a 2 centimeters lower will give you a different combination of the energy of your own soul. Replication will be hard unless you understand the process. The way the DNA of the man has understood separation in division, but at the same time working at the same way, the same time to keep the existence of life. Now you understand today why it's important for the knowledge seekers who are advanced in understanding of the technology. In so many ways, if you understood this and you could replicate this, today you can become passengers of the universe and travel the depth of the universe with no fear that you'll return back to it. If you want. And you don't need to be passengers of the journey for hundreds of thousands of years. As you connect to the fields of the span of the universe, it's instantaneous. This is why I have said many times, show me one research which shows the speed of the fields which is coming out of the pole of a magnet. And show me where does it end. Now you're dealing with the spherical dimension of the soul of the man. God help you if you ever understand how to do this. In understanding the totality of the knowledge brings you the comprehension of the, what I call creation. To comprehend how sophisticated life is, but in fact it's all on the same principle and dimension. No more and no less. It's you who has to decipher the knowledge. It's you who has to understand the connection. What connects where, at what strength, and in which shape and form. Then what I teach you becomes as easy as ABC. What I teach you becomes as sweet as sugar you have ever had as a knowledge. It's for you to understand the detail of the work. It's for you to understand the capabilities or interaction of different fields and energies. Now, as knowledge seekers, I have given you a new toy to play with. I'm sure many of you will endeavor to see how good a player you become. There's still nano coating, or you have advanced enough to play with the fields of the ganses. In so many ways, you will decide how you want to play, how you think you can create images within the structure of the understanding. When you look and you take the spherical shape of any entity, you have to decide how would this field interact. Where does it end? Where does it come from? Where would it lead when I use it in the structure of the process of the life which I want to add to? I give you one picture and have a look at this. This is the ice fields of a gas. And every single line connects to somewhere. The beauty of this is in the center of this ice block, there is no gas. It's the soul of the gas. We have never placed a single drop of gas in this ice. We transferred the soul of the gas within this ice to show its beauty, to show its interaction with other fields. There is not a drop of gas in this water. But there is the soul of the gas in this water. Where in the dimension of the water has manifested itself in this shape, and the line he has created with others within this environment. Now you understand the difference. You don't need the physicality to make the connection to the universal knowledge. And you don't need the soul to be within the gas to create the connection with the fields. Now you understand how detached can be the soul and manifest itself in the same place, in a different dimension. And you see, the shape of it is more or less spherical. The gas used for this was in a bucket. And he had the shape of the man in the bucket. But it takes the shape of the eyes and becomes a bowl because it's a soul. And then if you understand this, you understand the most fundamental knowledge given in theology. I made man in the image of myself, as I do not need to be as my soul will manifest itself in the dimension of his manifestation as he dies, but it carries my soul. As the replication is not in the dimension of physicality, but is in the dimension of the soul of the creator, in the existence of dimension of physicality of this planet, this time and position. Then you don't need much gases to put many boxes of water around and create the same soul within. Make one red water, make around white water, make around green. Salinity changes in one and the salinity changes in the other, and the mixtures of salinities, and some metal in one and the other one. The structure of the soul of the creator within each box will be the same, but the physical manifestation and the connection of the lines will be different, and different manifestation of physicality. Now you understand why I am the creator. Now you understand how pure the knowledge of the creation has been given to man, but man is so ignorant of his own existence. We don't claim to be mad. We are the creator above that. The knowledge of creation, understanding the process of the creation, changes icebox to the frozen spaces in the universe, or changes icebox to the volcanic eruptions of the center of the earth, I shall still create my image within it. and give it life. There is no place in the universe which does not carry my soul, even within the cell of the man. Now, you understand how easy it has been to create life in the universe. How easy it has been to create dimension of the creation, as in every dimension in the soul, the interaction of the fields of my soul with the creation of environment leads to manifestation of the physicality, as you see. Then you understand the text and understanding of the books which has been written. The books are not just scientific, but they are as theological as the scientific. It's you who have to understand the both and interpret. As we said, this time we put the two prophets together. Then you understand the prophet of the science and theology. And in that way, you have seen, we have shown you in the past pictures how this process has taken place. Understanding of the knowledge is the responsibility of the man. Comprehending the process of the creation is the responsibility of the soul of the man. Bring them together that you can exist in both dimensions. Fail to understand, you will suffer with one and you will see the demise of the other. In totality, the total knowledge of the creation has been given to the man, but this man who has to decipher, this man who has to break through the process of understanding, is man who has to understand the time, the position, and the place. Does he want to communicate by physicality, or do you want to communicate with the field, the strength, the same emotion? Do I need to use the voice of I love you, or do I need the creation of the fields, which means I give everything to you in the dimension of the soul and ethics? Now you understand why today's teaching is important and one of the cornerstones of the future teachings. We live amongst you as a man, but we carry the soul of the Creator. As man has to understand the interaction between the two. As is the soul, is a condition of creation of position and transferring of the knowledge from one to another. In so many ways, it's for you to endeavor to step to the next dimension, to understand it and create it, and with it, understand the process of creation. This is why we developed the enhancement unit. This is why we developed the new sets of enhancement units, which will be shown for the first time next week. They'll go on the test next week. And then we see how the soul of the man will decide to change the physicality. And what would the physicality take to change the freedom cage to become softened for the soul to be free? Understanding the physical dimension is more important than understanding the position of a dimension. I hope with today's teaching, I open a new horizon in the knowledge of man. I hope with a new teaching, we open your eyes to a new dimension. And then you understand why we stay detached. And then you understand why you should stay detached. Because if you don't, on the point of arrival, you'll become attached. And you will not see the rest of the beauties of the creation. Thank you very much for today teaching. And I hope I have enlightened many of you to the new science of creation. And for some of you who are still physical, a new toy to play with. You decide you want to use the copper plates or use the strength of the copper within the structure of your soul to create a made man in the image of myself. So you shall make your image within that container. Does it need to have a water, or does it need to have a salt? Or does the strength of the knowledge within you will create those fields that behaves like the salt? The conversion from the energy cell to the matter state, plasma fields. And then if you are still understood more with another dimension to the physical matter. I hope you enjoyed this journey. And I hope for the first time you have seen, understood how the soul of the Creator is embedded within your soul. As you are the environment, as we saw with the icebox. Thank you very much, Rick. If you want to go on the break, and then we come back, we answer some questions.
Okay, very good, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much for today's teaching. Okay, everybody, we'll be back in a few minutes after a commercial message here. And then the cup of creation.
You call it what you like. It's the cup of the soul of the Creator, if you understand it. But where do you want to embed that soul, that within it sits the soul of the Creator, and outside it sits the soul of the man or the creation. In a space defense technology of the Keshe Foundation, when we work with the military, we show a different side of the technology, but the same knowledge, where we create a craft, and outside it we create multi-layers of fields that no entity can enter, but entries are possible to a given direction of the connection of the fields, where we send a message for the craft to be controlled, but outside has no access to that message and becomes invisible, or it becomes undetectable by any means, which is the knowledge of the man. It's the same. We sow the seed within, and then through it radiate out to control different layers as we need. This be the soul of the creator, this be the soul of the man, this is the soul of physicality of the man, or this be the soul of the environment. Then you get the manifestation of the existence in that dimension, what might be. If you understand this process, you understand the beauty of zero-time communication and transmutation. And now that's what you understand. Very soon we release the transmutation technology which you've been waiting for. Do you want us to transmute you with your physical dimension, or would you like to be transmuted through your soul? You decide. We sit within. When you tap into this, you receive all the knowledge which is within this because you have interacted with it. When you tap to every levels and dimensions and directions, then you tap in totality to all the knowledge of the universe. Because each line of connection, as you saw in the ice water, brings its own beauty and knowledge. Because don't forget, these themselves are connected to the other knowledge and beauty, so you become centralized. This is what I said to you, will bring world peace very rapidly as we establish the lines to make the present world of what we call wars and weapon technology to zero with understanding this process. Today we see one lot running out of one airport, and soon they'll run out of the other airports back home, because the leaders understood that the knowledge within the Keshe Foundation Iranian space technology is far superior. Before receiving the humiliation, they have humiliated themselves. And this is the way the process of peace will start. Once one accepts, has no knowledge in front of the superior knowledge, they become subordinate to it and accepts the superiority of the knowledge as he has nothing to fight with. And this time we bring the knowledge of peace from Iran. And the Americans and the Europeans have realized this. Before the knowledge shows itself, we try to be out that it doesn't embarrass us, and we try to be in to be able to be beneficiary of the knowledge to come. You will understand. In totality, world leaders have come to understand the knowledge which is getting spread and shown is so superior that there is no use to develop more weapon technologies. And just comes by this pure picture on the table. In one way, we create a multi-shielding. In another way, we create multi-environment. In another way, we create multi-layers that leads to creation of life. It's all the same when you understand the knowledge. Next couple of weeks, we release the videos from the Enhancement Center in Wiedzy. We will release the what we call the new exhibition for the new science of man. As we have announced on the 1st of October with the initial opening, and the 2nd of October with the official opening of the Keshe Foundation lens exhibition set, which is very simple. but in depth carries knowledge that man has not even understood. You will see two new systems, which is developed specifically for a specific application and conditions. And very soon, hopefully by that time, you will see 4 units. One of them will be set for transmutation and transportation. And then we decide who we transmute and who we transport. We open the knowledge of the universe in a very beautiful way. But it's for those who understand it to apply it. Some of you are still tangling with magrabs, and some of you are still fighting in how ganses are produced. But gradually in the process of understanding, many will be enlightened to the ultimate knowledge. As we said, we have to play the game according to the intelligence. Any other question?
We have a couple of hands up, but before that, we have a question from Carl in the YouTube. He wants to know the difference between what you taught before with what was called the universal cup, and then what was taught today with the what he calls the horizontal cheese piece, the cheese slice.
That's your understanding. You must be very hungry, or your lover of cheese. This is the cup of the creation of the soul and physicality at the same time. This is the cup of knowledge of the universe, if you understand it. Up to now, you played. With this, you entered the arena of actually delivering. Game time, play time is over. The sooner you understand this, the sooner you become ready to live both in both dimensions of the soul and the physicality, or either one as you choose.
With a new knowledge. I want to thank you very much for your continued teaching of giving us the knowledge of the universe. Hopefully we will understand it soon. I have 2 questions. Last week you talked about the 666 in respect to 6th of June 2022, but I expected you to go further and explain 666 because it has been explained elsewhere in negative terms, but here it seems to be positive. Okay.
If you've done wrong, let me answer your first question. It seems that you befriended somebody else called Jalal. Now you're coming with 2 questions. It's good. You've been teaching together too long. The answer to your question is which side of the fence you sit and how you look at the cup. Is the cup half full or is the cup half empty? If it's the cup half empty, you're never satisfied, and there should be a time will come that the cup will be full. If the cup is full, it means in that point you have received the beauty of it and you appreciate the totality of it. So depends which side you sit and how you want to interpret. We don't give that opportunity for the numbers to become the obstacle to grow what we call to break the barriers of understanding of the knowledge. So it depends. If you sit in a way that you see 6th of June next year, the point that the man will mature, maybe through governmental organizations, collectively to go to space, or man by that time decides to take a knowledge on his own and create another dimension of war and separation. But that will be within the soul of the man, not within the physicality of the man. If you look, all the signs are good. We see that not only the wars have come to an end, now they're pushing with a more lockdown in more nations for the winter, which means impossibility of moving soldiers. But the way we work from Tehran National Defense University, teaching the other scientists in other national universities, we collectively become ready to take into space. We collectively become wise to be in that position. And we'll see the maturity of the man walking away from the war. So to us, the cup is full and it's getting overflown with care, knowledge, and what I call passion for peace. If you sit on the other side, I have to clean the table and the cup is nowhere near where it should be, so I create enough mayhem to fill it up. So your next question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. That will take me a few listenings, maybe 100 to understand. But in any case, I thank you very much. The second one is really not a question, but a kind of request for update in regard to working with Iran and how COVID in Iran is being taken by the present administration, because we read in the news a lot of imports of vaccines.
We see a lot of problem in Iran, which was, there is a tradition. We saw it in American administration as well. The previous government of Iran under the leadership of Rouhani was a corrupt, bribery-embedded organization. And in so many ways, the new government is just taking shape this week. The ministers have sworn into their offices and they start taking what you call their offices from Monday, Tuesday of this week. Then we see how long it will take to get this infested group out of the different ministries. They blocked everything except what they were getting a bribe for. Even vaccines which were bought, paid for, never came because some of it, they took the money back themselves into their private accounts. We see a mayhem of this position in Iran, and it's deliberately made to damage the present government, to create a mayhem for them. On the surface, there is a lot of smile, but underneath, there is a massive dismay and damage which is done by Rouhani. And part of it is this process to slow down as much as possible the interaction with different technologies and knowledges with Corona and many other industries in Iran. And it will take the new government a few months just to clean up, to start from point zero, or level that the nation is happy with. And in so many directions, this was a battle between two Ayatollahs, Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran and Ayatollah Rouhani. And there is a bigger understanding within the religious region. They don't fight outside, they fight inside. And we've seen this is the fight which took place and the nation is paying for it. The fight was created by Rouhani, or the way he took bribes. This is one of the most corrupt governments we had, even surpasses the time of the Shah of Iran. And we expect changes, not only through new technology, but the new structures and the new ways that the new government will take shape and take control. We are close into these operations. We try to keep close tact and what we call information and knowledge technology transfer. Keshe Foundation in the next couple of weeks will invest and open one of the largest manufacturing operations in Iran. The Iranian team are busy with it, they're instructed, and part of this process is, I got the feedback, is to help Iran with 3 or 4 lines which now Iran needs to get itself out of the created dilemma with internal support, not outside. We will provide a massive support for Iran power generation in coming days, that we do not to rely on the power generation and massive investment in that line, in the transmissions and the rest, but will increase the power production in Iran starting with the next couple of weeks. That will change the shortage of fuel, what we call energy. This is primarily investments that the Keshe Foundation has done, and we are close operating with the officials. We will clean up the process as it started with a cooperation from our Chinese team to clean up the Iran, Tehran, especially air condition system, and at the same time we delivered what we call technologies for overcoming the corona very rapidly, even if it means we built up to go on the national television and teach that people immediately take up themselves. We will endeavor and break out through the space technology that Iran is ready for 6th of June, and we work alongside of the national government to bring the change as part of the structure of Iran society. And from there on, we'll work with the other nations to deliver the same. So what we see in Iran, mayhem with Corona and the rest, is built up deliberately in the last phases of administration of Rouhani to create as much damage to damage reputation of the leadership and the government to come. But in general, everybody has been wise to it, and we will see this through very fast. You will see mass production of the especially developed Maghreb systems in Tehran from next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then you will see the same systems which coming up one by one. We are inside and within the structure. We don't need to fight to get in. We build the bridges, we build the friendships, we build understanding with the incoming government in past year. They know us from outside, and now they support us from inside to bring the changes to Iran. Iran will be a center of the knowledge and technology, and we make sure of it, where, as I said in the teaching of Sunday, in American teaching, they tried to embarrass us in Idaho when we showed them the next Saturday how we captured their drone. They tried to embarrass Keshe Foundations as a fraud, will bring their nations to be frauded by themselves. But we do it with science and technology and wisdom. And you shall see, very easy. There are huge openings for Keshe Foundation around the world, in the United States, in Mexico, in other parts of the world. And it's coming into knowledge seekers through their hard work and in a way showing the knowledge and correct conduct of the knowledge seekers. But in general, we can't say we have many hopes that situation in Iran will change. We know it will change because we are part of it. Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers are at the heart of their operation, working directly with officials to bring that change through science and technology, comfort, and what I call energy resources to Iran in the next 3 months to 6 months will come. You will see. We have committed ourselves to change, to bring comfort to the nation. And we deliver by doing it than talking about it. I'm sure we will see videos from Iran, new factories producing energy supply systems, the air conditioning systems, the space technologies, and the rest as it comes up. And we'd endeavor to open, if we can, the first branch of Iran National Defense University in Europe as a university, where Europeans will be taught by the Iranian nuclear physicists and scientists in the art of this new space technology. As I said to you weeks ago, that we will open a National Defense University in defense of the planet, not Iran, around the world, but based in Iran. And hopefully we have managed, or will manage to establish the first one somewhere around the world in the coming months. And then we'll go to the next one. The game for the Keshe Foundation has changed. And when we finish with this process by mid of first quarter of the next year, we concentrate massively, collectively with the scientists around the world for the launch of 666. Iran.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. Iran is in the safe hand for the first time since the revolution of Iran, some 40 years ago. Always we had Sepah on one side, leadership on the other side, government on the other side, judiciary on the other side. For the first time, all have become one under the wisdom of the Iranian leaders. And they all work together. You will see a prosperous nation, because those times of bribery and stealing and putting things have gone. And those who are there will most probably have no room to play. But at this moment of time, all 5 forces of Iran has become one, working as one group to change. And we never had this. And this is a beautiful news for the Iranians. You will see a lot of changes, and we try to bring the changes which are visible at very early stages of this through the collaboration and cooperation with the national government. The same offer has been open to the American administration as much as to the Chinese. And we'll see the processes as we go through. We are very happy with the signs we have seen within the American structure in the past few days and past couple of weeks. We received the clearance in so many ways, which Trump created for us. And now we respond back the same to the American administration, but through the Iranian government offices, not through the Keshe Foundation. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. Antonio will be next.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for the teaching of today. I was just, the analogy of the bird cage, is it correct to sort of say that we have become physical because of our attachment to the beauty of this earth and created a cage for our soul, and although it has no doors, we have become attached? Is that a way of looking at it?
I answer you in a different way. As you said, the beauty of the planet. As I've said before many times, Earth is a beautiful place. And we come to enjoy the beauty of the physicality. There is nowhere in the universe so beautiful and diverse. There are places, but so diverse and so beautiful. So, yes, this planet is beautiful, and it will create a condition of diversity of lives that each one individual or collectively can live and expand in the universe once it's matured on its time and place. You got to remember what I showed you with the ice, with no physicality of the Gansenet. You have the same dimension with the soul of all creatures of this planet across the universe. The beauty of the soul of a leopard or a lion or a gnat on its departure will manifest itself in another dimension of the universe. And then what shall be in that universe? A tree or a shrub as a soul. And then if you understood the image of the soul, then how this tree will manifest itself on planet Zeus if he is the right environment for his manifestation. So yes, we come to enjoy the beauty, and this planet is beautiful.
And just to go on to another, the date, I know that Gatwa was talking about the 666. There is my understanding is that it's not, it's more of a, in a sense of destructive force, but it paves way for the new. So there's a positive aspect to that from a Christian perspective, that they see it in negative terms, but it actually is all part of this one same apple. And so I've always seen it as a positive thing, not an anti-Christ scenario.
No, I don't look at it that way. You look at it that way. The understanding of the time is a point of maturity. The time and the position is for man to mature for the first time, to travel beyond the boundaries of this planet with the dimensions who he made the limitation for himself of. And that's where the man will change. I was explaining this to a knowledge seeker very recently. You remember when the cars came, there was a man walking with a flag in front of it. And then they said, if you do more than 25 miles an hour, your brain will come out and your eyes pops out and you die.
Yeah.
We are in that point on the 666, where we show the speed beyond the speed of light, the restriction which was put up by what we call a peasant more than anything else. And for man to understand there is no limitation of speed. And then at the same time, to open the dimension to give the man a chance that man can travel without physical dimension.
So what you've taught today is the key to how we can do that.
In a way, I think that if you understood the ice image, that was a totality. If I'm on Earth and I want my soul to be on the moon, what you see on the moon as me, is it me? Or is it the manifestation of my soul in the image of me on the moon? Then it takes its own shape. You might not like when you see yourself on the moon, this is not me. But if you twink a finger and that finger moves on the moon, it is me. So you have to get used to your new image. Then if you look into the depth of the universe and you see a star, and you want to see how that star is, what its solar structure is, do you want to spend billions of years on travel, according to what tell you 10,000 million years, light years? Or do you want to be there instantaneous and tell me, with your physical condition here, this is how this star looks like, it's got the mountains, it's got this, and through your soul, which has taken the position of, through my soul, I can see the images of that place, how it feels, how it smells, how it looks. These are not any more fantasy. These are technologies which is in your hand, and today is part of it. We have just started the process of what I said last week and the week before, to introduce you to the universal knowledge. Put it this way, we have just opened the door of the nursery, the school, the university, and the professorship, all in one go. And you all come in the ground floor, and you all be professors on the other, because the knowledge is given to all of you at the same time. It's a gateway of the knowledge of universe. If you understood it, if you know and understand it, you still make the ganses and then another coating and the rest.
Thank you for that, Mr. Keshe. I'm being called, tea's ready, but thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Speaking of the ganses and nano, I think Zaid has a question in that regard. So I promised he could go next. So Zaid, could you ask your question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Keshe. First of all, I am at the kindergarten stage. My experience thus far is I've made 1 cup of life with copper and zinc. That went off well. So I wanted to increase my production. So I went on to making the zinc and the other one where it's only copper. But then I added the cell on. But what happened was a red residue powder sort of precipitated on all the coils, and that I don't know what went wrong. What could that be?
I think I'm going to correct you in 2 ways. First of all, where are you from?
I am from South Africa.
Okay, you could hear it from your accent. Secondly,
Okay.
why do you think something went wrong? Or, no, wait, let me finish. Or
okay.
did you created something that you need to understand it? Or it's wrong because of your expectation?
Yeah, I think it's wrong because of the expectation, because my first cup, it worked out exactly as the instructions, the way I created the gains, water, etc. And then when I did prepared the second 2 cups, now I've got this red residue all over the show. I've tried to find out the reasons for it, or anybody else had experience with it. So it's something unexpected from my limited knowledge. So maybe it could be a normal thing, maybe it could be something else.
What have you put in it?
Okay, the 1 cup was the zinc electrode, the nano-coated coil in the center, and the copper coil on the side, and added a low or almost flat battery, okay, in the circuit. The other one is just the 2 coil, one the flat wrap copper coil, the center nano-coated, and then the coiled copper coil. And both of them got the same results.
What do you mean by the same result?
That a red residue on all the coils.
Did you use zinc, or did you use zinc mixture plate? How pure is your
I took the D cell battery, and I used the zinc electrode, the outer zinc electrode for as my
the cover. You mean the cover?
Yeah. There's actually 2. One is more like a metallic. I use the zinc.
Can
the
you?
one that's in contact with the powder.
Yeah. Okay. Can you put a magnet on your material, on your outer piece electrode, your zinc, and see if a magnet sticks to it?
Okay.
If a magnet sticks to it, you have a galvanized plate. So it's normal with the iron in the center, you're creating CH3 majority of the time. You understand?
Right.
If not, that could be one of the reasons. Or if not, you are creating a condition of creation of the mixture of the energy and gases in a mixture of CH3 and what we call hydrogen. It's you have to tell, just because you have a battery, we always, if you go back to the original teaching, we always say if you use a battery, some of these batteries have a mixture of iron in it for the cost evaluation the manufacturers use. And just test it. If it sticks to it, you have, it's obviously what you're creating CH3, And even if you still get it, you have a mixture of the combination of the hydrogen in your process, which is not a bad thing. You have active gas.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much from beautiful South Africa. Any other question?
Yes, we have Carl again back in the YouTube, who's asking, is it possible to get a more clear path for the soul of creator reactor? Because some of it was nano and some of it is not on a 3D scale drawing. It's hard to figure out.
I didn't give you a fix. I give you the concept.
Right, it's not a blueprint.
Of course.
Exact blueprint.
No.
There's no blueprint for the soul.
I don't think he ever created a blueprint for his manifestation of his soul.
It would have been nice to have an operating manual, though.
Humans.
Okay, we have Ed with a hand up here. Would you like to go ahead, Ed?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for this morning. I was thinking, when you were talking about the introduction at the new exhibition center of the new transmutation units and the impending demonstration of this, and you talked about selecting people, and my thoughts went to I'm wondering if a person needs a certain amount of understanding and detachment and acceptance in order to have a positive experience using these transmutation devices, to go through it without undesired experience.
Whatever you go through, it means what your soul has set the path for you. And as I said in the last comment, is the expectation. Your soul knows the true wish. Does not matter how you want to bring it to the physicality dimension of wishing. You understand? When you enter in these systems, as it's an open space interaction, the best option or the best possible option that it brings balance to totality will be taking shape. Not what you want to push. You understand? What you learn, where you end up counts. Not what you wished and you wanted, because it comes in a different direction. Unless you enter the dimension of the physicality, which is totally different, then you travel with the space and dimension of physical life. Soon we will learn, all of us. Soon we will see how our physical dimension has decided to live within the dimension of our soul. It's another learning process. But it'll be adjusted according to, and it'll be settled by the position and condition of the strength. It's very much like when you get on the plane. On the lower level, there is not much compression. As you go higher, they increase it and they adjust it to the height or altitude you fly. And then they reduce and change it back to where you come to the position on Earth where you might land, or you might on the moon, or whatever. It's the same way, but this time is more the decision of the soul of the man than the physical condition of the man, but still the soul of physicality has a major say in it if it decides to still to be in charge. We learn a lot. We learn a lot because then we have to decide, we allow the soul of the emotion or the physicality to take over, or we allow the soul of the emotion of the soul of the man to take over. And where there is a compromise.
So another part to this question is, once a person goes through an experience using a transmutation device, will that help them define the emotional experience within themselves? Will it become a learning experience so that they will be further along the path to being able to do it themselves without the use of a device?
That's the whole purpose. That's what we said from the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
We just set you a way to do. You might enter the system and expect to be cured from a cancer, but the soul has decided there's more to learn for the physicality. And it's not this time. Maybe 2 weeks later, you understand and you enter the same system and it works the way it should do. Because the soul has agreed, soul has understood, soul has been fed for what it was missing or what it wanted to achieve.
Thank you.
As I said, new emotions will come to play, which we have never been aware of. And these emotions, as we said, will play a major role in man's life in this space. Now we only know sadness and happiness and joy and this and that. New emotions through the new conditions being faced will manifest that I never knew I could do this, I never knew I had such a feeling, or I didn't know such a thing existed within me. But it exists in all of us, within us, and we have to learn. You know, none of us had the emotion and understanding of the free fall because we never experienced it, and it's a specific emotion till we sit on the plane and suddenly the plane drops and we get that feeling. So now we know the new emotion of free fall, and you cannot explain it to no one unless you experience it. And with the new space technology, we'll come across new feelings, new emotions which we didn't know, and we create vocabulary for it, we create explanation for it, and we all will understand it. If I would have told you a free fall 50 years ago, 100 years ago, it was meaningless. But now, because many of us have been on the plane, many of us have felt it. When a plane drops suddenly in flight, we all know what it means, and we have created the word for it, we have created the emotion for it. And now mankind will come to understand new emotions with this new development and technology in the space and travel. It's a beautiful time starting. In so many ways, as I was explaining to other knowledge seekers, it's like you've been to the city and you've seen the lights up and the restaurants and the beauty of the life, the activity and the business of it. And you go to a village and you try to get a man or a child which only knows the donkey, has seen things on the picture and maybe had the television, and you try to explain to him on the way from the village to the city what he will be seeing there, how the things will be, the smell of the steak, the smell of the rides, and the smell of the fuel, because he was busy with his own village before. And then in that process of travel from village to the city, you have to mature it, that once he gets there, he doesn't get shocked. This is the job which I'm carrying through at the moment with humanity. Taking the man from the village and trying to explain to them how beautiful the city of the universe is. And in the process, trying step by step to put knowledge in, add in what to expect and what to be prepared to receive. Not just think, oh, I go to the city, I find a donkey, and I go somewhere else where I'm going to find a hay for it, and where I'm going to find a, what do you call it, water for it. In the city, there is no donkeys, and there is nowhere to buy hay, because they use cars and jets and the rest of it. And at the moment, the man is in that process, and we're trying to walk towards the city of the universe. But to educating man to understand what is to come has been a tougher mission than we thought. What did we get in there?
Let me see, we have Fried has a question in the Q&A here in the Zoom. Can we get some insight how to handle global warming or global cooling with the plasma technology? So many fears are spread at the present, which is probably deliberate and not necessary. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for shedding light.
The way I looked at this, maybe it's the wrong way, but to me it's one of the ways to look at it, is what are we expecting from our environment? Then in what we expect, is it the positive or the negative? Is it all doom and gloom, or positively we are creating a new condition of life? We are learning another process. I'm of the latter part, because the present part we have seen. And so we have to go through the process of learning new ways, and the change is good. Why does a global warming has to be, and the earth has to stay the way we are used to it? We used to be. It wasn't like this before. It changed, it led to the creation of man. Now it changes to another dimension. Maybe this time leads to the position that the soul of the man expands. And we have created this condition. We can never reverse. It doesn't matter how they play it. Minus 50%, minus 20%. We have ignited a fire to our technological development that cannot be put out. Even we stopped the using of the cars in the West, the man in Africa can afford a diesel car which was made 30 years ago, and he'll still be using it in Africa. So we cannot stop it. Unless we give everybody the same car that has no, what do you call it, exhaust emission. And then what happens? How are they going to go through changes? We were discussing this with the introduction of the new colors in the fabrics, in the food, and how we are getting new conditions and diseases from it. And everybody thinks it's on the skin because it touches. We breathe it. The changes comes within us. It touches our DNA and our soul at the same time. I was explaining to one of the novices, because when you wear these new clothing, fancy colors, which they use carbon-based colors on it, and then you sweat and you breathe it in, you change the combination of the what we call energies absorbed in the cell. You're smoking another cigar with no filter, but this time you're feeding yourself, oh, I look smart running down the road with flashing yellow, green, and lights. What are you doing to yourself? It's not just that the touch with the skin, the sweating, which goes in your lung from these combinations, creates more damage than the skin. When we feed our children with the new foods with fancy colors, how much new structure of connection between different cells we put in, and it never be reversed. Just think one point, and then you understand how much you have exposed yourself to unknown. Buy a kilo of tomato today, make a tomato sauce, and buy a kilo of tomato from the same shop in 2 weeks' time and make sauce. And then buy again tomato from the same supermarket 2 weeks later and make the same sauce. Would they taste the same? Would the color be the same? And would it give you the same emotion? No. But you go and you buy a tin from the same supermarket today, the same supermarket, the same brand next year is the same color, the same taste, the same emotion. So you have already entered a condition of being conditioned and then unnatural for your body to absorb. Then you set the next step of the process of change and DNA change. You don't need to change the environment. You already have changed yourself with a tin of tomatoes. Because they introduce coloring, certain combination that it tastes the same, otherwise you won't buy the same tin again. It's unknown. And so in that introduction of coloring, you have brought a new global warming inside you. But what would it bring? Would it make you stronger? Would it change the color of your skin? And what else would it? You remember the drink Orangino a few years ago when it came? And everybody went crazy on it, till the children started drinking it in quite the quantities, and they all became orange color on the skin. Just go and check. And then we saw a change of behavior. We saw a change of emotion with the children. It was the same drink. We are looking at environmental pollution, but we don't look what pollution we created ourselves with the new technologies. What would it bring us? We never seen orange skinned children before, but we had them because they drank from the same pot all the time. It was controlled. So we have to see what this comes. What does this global change bring us? And we can never reverse it. Impossibilities. The Dutch understood the shortcoming of it, and they start selling you trees for every mile you burn a fuel. And in fact, there was no trees ever planted anywhere. But they gave you a good feel factor. I buy this because I planted a tree. Did you change anything globally, or you just changed something in your mind? Any other question?
Okay, we have something from Lissy here. I'd like to, so thank you, Lissy. Now we have a more down-to-earth question from Jefferson here, Mr. Keshe, who says he seems to have a question about tattoos. He says, I've seen many young people and even older people making drawings on their own skin, that is, tattoos. More and more people are showing up with these designs on their skin. I think this is being purposely encouraged, and there must be some unreasonable objective because of this. My question is, how do these drawings affect physicality, the soul of physicality, and the soul of people, and what can be done to reverse the effects of these drawings? Thank you very much.
We saw the rise of these things with one football player. If you remember Mr. Beckham, he was one of the main instigators of the making it the way it is by tattooing himself and becoming a center of attention that way, and then it's followed by the others. It doesn't do much, except it might give pleasure to some people emotionally to have it. It might bring a memory of something which they treasure, and there is nothing wrong with it. It's just us. It will be fantastic to know when our future generations dig these people out and we know the skin and the bone stays, and they say, what the heck have these people been doing to themselves? And all the ones in this time of the what we call human cycle on this planet have created such a skin. Maybe in 2 years, in 10 years' time, it becomes something that the fashion doesn't accept. And then it goes out of fashion. And we have a bunch of gradually old people fully tattooed, and the young ones look at them, oh my God, this is what they did themselves. Or what our new generation will come up with a 3-dimension of this tattooing as it's expanding more and more. But it all depends on what pleasure it brings you when you look at it, or when somebody looks at it, or what was the reason to do it. So it's another painting, but this time on the skin of the man, and what pleasure brings that. Some of them are very nice, some of them are very intriguing, and some of them are beyond imagination, but they have a beautiful imagination, and they use it to express. It's a way of attracting attention. We don't carry on our body professor, doctor, baker. Now, to get attention for it, excuse me, Mr. Doctor, now we carry tattoos. Oh, look, this one is here. It's become fashionable to see what people carry, what tattoos. And why they carry it and how they want to show it. Why do we place tattoos in certain positions that only a few can see, or we put it somewhere that everybody can see? It's attention seeking, or a statement to make, to be that now I carry it with me, I don't need to change it or wash it or whatever. It has no, the only hope is that it will not create different problems with the skin, with the new chemicals in the future. It's a fashion step, as you call it. And sometimes it's good, because when you speak to some people, they explain it. It's very intriguing how they explain every tattoo and the reason for it. If you ask somebody, why do you put a tattoo of your birth on your ankle 1962? You forgot your birth date? Or is it to say, I would like anybody younger than this? I'm 62, I'm 30 years old, I'm 40 years old. What do we do that for? The statement of life, something we want to do. You see beautiful drawings that, and now this is getting so beautiful, it's an art, a mobile art. You go to an art gallery, now they walk in front of you on the street. This is the way I look at it. So they're so beautiful. They start from the ankle to the back of the neck, and you just got to follow it where it's going and what's the purpose of each part of it. And some people, they plaster themselves with it. And some people just do it just on the border of the calf that you cannot see if you're in the office working. But when you go home, you're fully tattooed. Nothing else can be seen except colors. It's a statement of emotion more than anything else on position and whatever we want. There's nothing wrong. Our ancestors done it for years. They painted themselves. We have seen nothing wrong with them. They tattooed themselves. We have seen nothing wrong with them. Now it's a fashion statement more than anything else at all. My only hope is that our future generations will not be shocked with what they open the coffins and see.
Okay, we have a question from Dan in the Q&A. He's, I think some people might have a similar question where they get confused about when you talk about just working with the fields, and then we get other conflicting messages. So anyway, his question goes, if we have to work with the fields and understanding them, then why did the message come with the electric bill and the reduction of what was done with the MagRev? I don't understand why the results need to be quantified when from the very beginning you said, to work with the fields. And he says, will your greed be the way I will spread this technology all over the earth? And does the soul have an electric counter of the number of heart beatings?
You hit the nail with the hammer right on the top. Greed. We use the greed of the man to teach the man plasma technology. And his greed was his electricity bill. Totally, we use the greed of the man, nothing else. But now, with the magraps, you got to know about the space technology, you got to know now the true use of the magnet, which is creation of fields and not the electricity.
Well, that was a somewhat surprising answer, but very direct.
You see, we people wanted to see, they want to see, so we gave you. John played a beautiful game with this without a lot of you realizing. John went the direction of the fields, where the rest of you went the direction of the, what we call power or electricity. And nobody realized it because you were too busy for the magnet. You remember how John used to put 10 or 12 of them in a circle and different ways, in different circles, different combination. And he got the guy to move out of the building 200 yards away, he's still feeling it. John went the right way. And the rest of you, you went the magnet to electricity bill way. If you would have gone the way John went, the space technology and plasma technology would have been totally different. You would have explained the energy fields of your magraps, how it interacts, how the two will do, how combination of very few people after that started this process. And then again was to see something. You didn't do to feel something. I've seen people putting different magrap combination. We saw it last week, I think in the Rick's teaching. The Iranian guy showing different combination of the magrap, and he expects to see an aura of it. We always did with expectation to see what we make, then expectation to learn how the fields interact.
Are perhaps the fields
I don't
of
understand. This one is an enigma.
He has another question here I didn't see till now. Are perhaps the fields of one or another place where one lived responsible for understanding the totality? Let's have one again. It's interesting. Are perhaps the fields of one or another place where one lived responsible for understanding the totality? I guess he might be saying, how do the fields of our environment where we live, how much are they responsible for understanding the totality of?
It could be what emotion they give you, more or less. Is what they create in you.
The religious sites of the world, especially, or the pyramids and things like that.
Yeah. We are affected by all of it in different shape or form. And we are made up of these collection of fields. So they infect us, they make us. And what we are is part of
So does every point in the universe have a particular mood or emotion attached to it? Or is it only in our perspective of things?
I think it's on our perspective and how we are. We can go to a place and be very romantic the first time, and then we go back to the same time, we don't get the same emotion.
We might even be sad because maybe we broke up with our lover and it reminds us of it.
Yeah, it depends what it is. It's all emotion and position dependent on what we have and what is to us. It's very, very interesting because we see the totality of this with different emotions for all of us. We go to a place and then you go back to the same place a few years later and it doesn't have the meaning. It doesn't have any meaning at all what you had before. You say, what did I come back here for?
Okay, Nick in the live stream says, hi Rick, hi Mr. Keshe. A few years ago, I saw myself coming out of my body and working on my physicality. In the future, is this what the cup of universe is for? Thank you, Nick from Sydney.
The cup of physicality is not for that purpose, but if you create a condition that gives you that feeling, that position, that emotion, then your cup of physicality has created, but it's not specifically for that emotion.
Okay, we have Azar with the hand up here, and I think we've almost covered the questions here. There might be one or two more. We're getting a bunch of feedback, Azar. Something wrong with your microphone connection? Or
Hi.
There's an echo, Azar. Can you turn off your... Sorry, I have to mute you. Can you turn off your speakers or whatever's causing the echo in the background?
Am I okay now?
No, it's got a bad echo.
You have two units open, Azar. Switch one off.
It was Dr. Babapur, it wasn't me. So
You're with Dr. Barapur.
yes, Mr. Keshe. Okay, so
Give him my regard.
I will. Thank you. Because we have two.
Can I ask you a question? How come
Sure.
all your Iranians are with Dr. Barapur all the time? Every time they speak, oh, we're with Dr. Barapur.
Because he's such a gracious man with a big heart, and he's always welcome people in his home, and that's what he's all about. You know, he says hello to you as well.
Yeah, my regard.
Hello. I have a question regarding the universal community. How involved a universal community in the transition point on planet Earth, and then the connection of Universal Council to the universal community? How connected are they, and then the importance of that connection? And can Universal Council can count on universal community to help them in this transition if they need any help?
Answer you all in one go, in one sentence maybe. When we established the Universal Council, we already established the connection between Universal Council and Universal Community Council. But the Universal Council has to mature to understand our position. When you wish for a world peace and end of wars, who do you think carried it out for you? not only yours as a Universal Council, but the Universal Council as a whole has given the hands your wishes. They reach, they create a path. There is a collective interaction. When we set up the Universal Council, you're already connected to Universal Community Council, which means you are benefiting by it. But you're waiting to see with your own eyes, but you have seen it. You wished no war 3 years ago. We brought the guns down, and now we brought armies down. What else do you want to do? And it's not just by the wishes of the Universal Council of the Humanity, you become part of a bigger structure, which reaches the soul of everything. You've got to realize something which, after next year, become more clear to you. Even the setting up of what we want to do next year, the rest of it till you come to the point of interaction with the universal community is all pre-planned, preset. That the transition is not rapid, that you get lost in the mayhem and you have many profits created out of new conditions and positions. Everything is methodically planned, how to let you to come in. But we make it as you are doing it, and the arrangement is yours, and you feel we did this, we achieved that. Everything is methodically planned. We guide you slowly into the path to reach the point and the position where you become part. We don't pick you up in the village and drop you in the city. We walk you through with it. Step by step. Step by step. You've never been left alone.
Mr. Keshe, if any Universal Council either they joined with the agenda or they became, they just changed direction and then they not working in the same direction as the totality of Universal Council, what's the effect of those people on the totality of the Universal Council wish?
They are still serving a purpose. Their soul has come in to serve that purpose. Don't be so greedy that whatever we want has to be everything. Yes? Just because we are Universal Council. You understand? Even they do wrong things. I've been seeing many of them do while they were there, as many of them try to do good while they're there. They all bring you to the point where you have to arrive. This is the beauty of it. You understand?
Yes, Mr. Keshe, I understand.
You're expecting, don't have any expectation.
It means that you see, when we have no resistance, we allow even the ones that in their own way they're going in a wrong direction or whatever they are. Is not any wrong direction or right direction. At the end,
why don't you think, even though you think you're going the right direction, is the wrong direction? Why do you think they are wrong? You understand?
I'm not talking about the wrong. I'm talking about the way they see the world and they see us wrong. I mean, they're opposing, for example, what we wish or Keshe Foundation or what we stand for. If they
when we become arrogant that the thing is the only way is our way, we have already failed. You understand?
Yes.
It is a collective work of the totality which brings us to the point. If you look back at what we thought was two wrong things, and one was trying to claim that this one was wrong and the other one carried on doing with it. We learned it from Tesla and Edison. Both working, especially Edison, trying to prove the other one is wrong. But now today, we use both of them the same. Who was wrong? Who was right? Or both have served their way to how we do things, how we understand things, and how is the knowledge of both has helped us to be where we are in the world of technology. It's the same with the soul. Not because you think somebody is doing wrong, is wrong. Is wrong because it doesn't come to our understanding. You just pray or give from your soul of physicality to your own soul to understand them, not for them to change for you because you think your way is right. It's a different way of living from Lord. When it becomes me, is the time when it goes down the hill. When it's there for all to be, then we'll find we become big. Be it universal council, be it in life in every dimension.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for clarifying. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Keshe, you're doing really good with the questions. We have one age-old question here that is probably important to ask at this point from Tina in the YouTube, who asks, how could we ever visualize the fields and their interactions to make them more tangible? I am thinking of a way that the CO2 GANs looks when frozen.
Come up with new concepts and ideas and show us. Everything doesn't have to come from us. How do you think it can be done?
Again, we're always looking to make the fields tangible. That seems to be a very human thing to do somehow.
You have to see everything to believe in it. So she asked for tangibility. You understand? Not accepting what it is, but make it for me to see. I don't want to make any efforts, or I don't want to understand different ways or new ways of it. This is a change of course that it's not anymore teachers and them and us. It's all of us in it. We're all teachers at the same time as the students. That's why we call it the knowledge seekers. And we teach each other. And we learn from each other. And it's not anymore give me, or I'm the only one and I know all of it. As you see, when I come to the teaching, I come as a knowledge seekers because I still learn how the man thinks and how we have to change the teaching for the man to be more comfortable to understand the rest. As you've seen, when I come to the teachings, most of the classes, I come in as a knowledge seeker. So I sit back and I listen like everybody else. I don't come in, I'm here, that's it. Even the creator is a knowledge seeker, let alone the man.
Always, I wish from the bottom of my soul and my heart that all that you envisioned soon will come to fruition and achieve what you have endeavored for most of your life for humanity. This question is about the soul of the man being a reflection of the Creator, as we know, as we heard even our past prophets been stating so. My question was, since our soul carries the knowledge of universe and is a reflection of the Creator, what differs us from our soul from the soul of the sun or galaxy or the universe that we live in terms of their strengths? So if our soul knows everything, why the sun is at a higher level than our soul, if that's also a reflection of the Creator? Let me just break it down a little bit more. We have knowledge of the universe. So in planet Earth, we've got 112 or 118 elements in our periodic table, and through my understanding, obviously our soul will be able to create that every field strength of these elements. So it carries the spectrum of the field strengths within this planet Earth. And since our soul is a reflection and carries the knowledge of the Creator, does it mean that our soul, if it is in different dimension, will carry the field strengths or a spectrum of field strengths of different elements? As you mentioned, we've only got roughly 5 or 10% of the elements on the planet Earth, and the rest of the elements exist in the universe. Can we manifest those elements as well, should you be in a different dimension? And if we do, what is the difference between the strengths of our soul and the soul of, say, the sun or a galaxy or a universe? What differs us from one to another?
I think you have forgotten a part of the teaching in the past. And that was, especially in one of the intros, it speaks about that your soul become another sun, another source of creation. So what soul created our sun? What soul was the seed of the creation of our sun, which has created the planet Earth, which with it has created the man, which with it has created the rest of it. So it's not being any higher. How did it start? How did it come? And what soul was and what dimension of physicality that soul came, that it led to creation of matter state of the earth. When we teach, don't just look what applies to you, look what applies in totality. We always said the soul of the man will take a new position and dimension, it becomes another star. Where did that star, which we call our sun, came from? Whose soul? How did he serve that from servitude received so much that it became the sun we see today? We glorify it, we pray to it, we enjoy its beauty and its warmth. But when it converts to the physical condition of us, we abuse it. It still has that beauty. It releases all the fields, and then it's us which transfer it to the cell of the brain or cell of the heart and behavior and emotion of one or the other. So is it higher? Or is it from the creation of a soul which has served its position and time, that in time has become the sun? It's no different. It's the same teaching, it's the same knowledge. So is it any higher? Or was it created by a soul which served its position and time that it elevates itself to become to what it is, at least to the creation of the man. There's no difference. It's us which take from it. In essence, it's pure. We take the same thing, we make a hydrogen, and we make carbon out of it, and we burn it, and we damage our environment. The same field goes to Saturn and the others, it become a huge ball of energy, attracting most of the rubbish around like a vacuum in the outer edges of the universe to serve. It's all the same field. It's us who convert it, and we diminish it and we abuse it when it comes to the physical dimension. Make it vitamin A, make it iron, make it copper or gold. This all came from the same sun, the same ray, the same strength. When it interacted with the earth, in the residue of interaction became gold. And when it interacted with us, it became gold within us, in a cell where it's needed. Since we'll explain in the time to come. Shall we call it a...
Yes, I think you've earned your living on this one.
Yep. Let's see how we do it with this new understanding. Thank you very much for today. And please try to understand the concept and not to copy. Let's start teaching the essence of the knowledge, not the cup and material. Let's step forward towards the energy and transfer of the fields, and then you'll find out you'll develop very rapidly new technologies. Thank you very much for today. And please, for the exhibition in Linz, complete your registration very rapidly, that we allow certain people which days to come in. We're not looking for a mass number of people. In small groups, but the full knowledge to be transferred by the knowledge seekers are in the center. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We did have a jump in. Jalal had a question that he had up for a while. I'll just throw it out for you. Have you nano-coded us, Mr. Keshe?
I have not quoted your souls. Forget about the physicality. Thank you very much
for that.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.